In the year 1347, Europe was about to face one of the darkest disasters in human history. A disease arrived by ship. Within a few years, millions would be dead. Entire villages would fall silent. Families would disappear. And medieval Europe would never be the same again. This was the Black Death. The plague reached Europe in the late 1340s, spreading through major trading networks. Ships carrying merchants and cargo arrived at Mediterranean ports, bringing something far more dangerous than goods. The disease was caused primarily by the bacterium Yersinia pestis. Fleas, often carried by rodents, played a major role in its transmission. From crowded ports, the plague moved rapidly along roads, trade routes, and between communities. There was almost no understanding of germs or bacteria. People had no idea what they were fighting. Then came the terrifying symptoms. Victims could develop fever, weakness, painful swollen lymph nodes called buboes, and severe illness. For many, death came frighteningly quickly. Medieval physicians struggled to understand the disease. They had no antibiotics, no modern epidemiology, and no reliable way to stop its spread. People prayed, they burned herbs, they isolated the sick, they searched ancient medical texts for answers. But the plague continued moving from town to town. Between roughly 1347 and 1352, the Black Death devastated Europe. Historians estimate that tens of millions of people died, with modern estimates commonly placing Europe's losses at around 30 to 50% of the population, though the exact number remains uncertain. In some communities, death was so widespread that there were not enough people left to bury the dead. Church bells rang constantly. Markets became empty. Homes were abandoned. And the living were forced to continue in a world suddenly missing millions of people. Fear created another tragedy. People desperately searched for someone to blame. False accusations spread, and Jewish communities were violently persecuted in many parts of Europe. These accusations had no scientific basis. The plague was not caused by the people who were blamed. But fear and misinformation turned an already terrible catastrophe into a period of persecution and violence. The Black Death did more than kill people. It disrupted the entire medieval economy. There were suddenly far fewer workers. Fields were left uncultivated. Businesses closed. Trade declined in many places. But something unexpected happened. Because labor became scarce, surviving workers could demand better wages and conditions. The old social order began to weaken. The plague had destroyed enormous numbers of lives, but it also helped transform European society. The psychological impact lasted for generations. Art became filled with images of death. Writers recorded stories of fear, loss, and survival. Religious beliefs were challenged and intensified at the same time. Communities developed new approaches to isolation and public health. The catastrophe forced Europe to confront a terrifying truth. Human society could be brought to its knees by an invisible disease. The Black Death eventually faded, but its victims were never truly forgotten. It changed Europe's population, economy, culture, and social structure forever. And its darkest lesson remains relevant today. When fear spreads faster than truth, the consequences can be almost as dangerous as the disease itself. The Black Death was not simply a plague. It was a turning point in human history.
Look, the children are playing by the well.